Hey, have you... God, it's so dark out there. I hope this comes out fine. Have you or a loved one been cancelled by cancel culture? You may be eligible for compensation. I'm so good... a bit stupid. I haven't even watched the show. Now, if you've had the unfortunate experience of existing in the past 3 years, then you've probably come into contact with the phrase cancel culture. You probably have a vague idea of what it means. You might assume it means someone being deplatformed for saying something offensive, or you might think that it's the woke Twitter mob deplatforming somebody for their free speech. I'm going to pick a different side for this conversation, though. Cancel culture does not actually exist. Well, mostly, pretty much.
You cannot have this conversation and exclude my voice from it. That is only fair. You have to answer the question, am I canceled or not?
Cancel culture.
The cancel culture. Cancel culture part.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture. Cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture. Cancel culture.
Cancel culture is...
Cancel culture really can't get any sillier. It does.
The word cancelled originates from how a TV show would get pulled down if its ratings were too low. If an audience was getting bored of the show or they just didn't like it anymore, then the magic of the free market take it down. How this transitioned into the bastardized word that we know today is a bit more muddied. Some say that it comes from a film called New Jack City, which Lil Wayne later referenced. Others say that it comes from a reality TV show, but that really doesn't matter nowadays. Nowadays, it's been distorted, slowly twisted into a whole new meaning, used to obscure motives and silence genuine discussion. The word is now a deliberate smokescreen, and the use of it by the conservative movement has been incessant, earning its place among all 3 of their jokes. So why do they actually use it? The right has latched on to cancel culture like one of those fish that hang around sharks. They're hiding behind it and using it to justify any number of horrific actions. To the right, cancel culture is a shield, and they use it for every little controversy. For example, if you face backlash for transphobic jokes, say you're being cancelled. Maybe you've made a homophobic tweet and people are angry about it, cancelled again. Every single negative reaction becomes a cancelling, even the unimportant ones. Cancelling after cancelling, the word becomes blurrier and blurrier. Dr. Seuss, a man that died 30 years ago, was apparently cancelled when 6 old books of his are withdrawn from publishing. At the same time, Matt Gaetz described himself as being cancelled after being federally investigated for the sex trafficking of a minor. The obfuscation of the word has allowed the right to bring sex trafficking down to the same level as a withdrawal of books. And it's not accidental, they know what they're doing. The deliberate and controlled demolition of the word is branded as both destructive and terrifying, but also petty and untrue. The word has been thrown around so much that I feel a bit of my brain sizzle out every time I have to hear it, even as a joke. Every time I hear someone do the "I got cancelled guys" after they said some dumb shit, from even well-established creators that I like, it infuriates me. You haven't been cancelled, you're still talking to hundreds of thousands of people. Is anyone that's actually been cancelled? Oh, that's going to be a total... There have been plenty of high-profile guys and girls that have been cancelled. Louis C.K. was an incredibly adored comedian before he got cancelled for locking the door and masturbating in front of new female comics. Anyone who thinks that this is an unjustified cancellation is insane. It wasn't consensual, and there was a huge imbalance of power. Louis C.K. was often brought onto these less established comic shows, or bringing them onto his. The idea that these women could just say no is absurd. Their entire career was on the line. It's fucking hard to be a woman comic, especially back in 2015 during the whole Gamergate era. There is not a single woman comedian with a large following that is not immediately scrutinized by others as soon as they release a Netflix special or dip their toes into the mainstream. A slightly more prevalent case of cancelling is Kevin Spacey. You may remember him as a serious-looking business or politician guy in numerous movies and shows throughout the 2000s and 2010s until 2018 for some reason. Oh wait, here it is. Spacey, while appearing intoxicated, made a sexual advance towards him at a party at 1986 while he was 14 and Spacey was 26. Holy shit. After this 15 others came forward, he then seemingly decided that the ensuing chaos was the perfect time to come out as gay. They made a weird video insinuating that the allegations were false in character as the guy from House of Cards, and then he ended it with a horror sting that I can't find for the life of me. Please help.
Miss me?
It's such a strange video. It's like he's setting up for the whole thing to be a publicity stunt, but obviously it isn't a stunt. He hasn't been cast in a movie since 2018. I think. Why does that feel wrong? Never mind. Dave Chappelle is another example. He's incredibly divisive and well known as of late. His transphobic jokes and self-identification as a trans exclusionary radical feminist, a very bad thing, got him cancelled recently. It's arguably been one of the most high-profile cancellations, with critics of cancel culture campaigning him as a champion of free speech, with notable figures like transphobic authors with the weird endorsement of chattel slavery, J.K. Rowling, coming to his defense. He's clearly having his platform demolished, I think. Gina Carano is not nearly as well known, but she was cancelled for her tweets, calling the political divide as bad as the Holocaust, and insulted those that used masks during the pandemic, made some hilarious digs with the never before seen joke of pronouns in bio, and said voter fraud shit in the 2020 election. If this sounds like she was dipping her toes into conservative ideologies in hopes of the taste of the ravenous crowd that follows them, of course not. No. She got deplatformed. She's not a star in a film produced by Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's little company. No. She got cancelled. And she's living on the streets. This feels like some kind of foreshadowing has been shamelessly inserted into the script in order to highlight the true ineffective nature of cancel culture, and that in any moment I'll be interrupted, but... So you may have noticed that there is an interesting pattern among some of these people, specifically that those that do a teensy bit of sexual assault, well, you can't be jailed for being unfunny and transphobic, no matter how much Jordan Peterson says you can be. You can and absolutely should suffer some consequence for sexually assaulting someone, especially minors. I'm not talking about a fine of like 1% of their net worth. That means nothing. You and me, we would go to jail if we did that shit. Actors and comedians get to just sit in a room for like 4 years, shaking and crying out to the world about, oh, how horrible this situation is, until a director or comedy club owner with not enough morals or money, apparently, pick them up and squeeze some more profitability out of their creepy little bodies. I've never had the most respect for the slowly shuttering legal system of the United States, but it sure can feel insulting how often those with a lot of money and power just can ignore legal consequences to do the horrific shit that some of these celebrities have done, and then just come back to exactly where they did it. Shows a lack of respect for those that you assaulted, and for anyone that might feel unsafe for working with someone like that. This is breezing past all the celebrities that do things just like Louis C.K. did, and it just never comes into the mainstream media. Hell, some of it does come into the mainstream media, and they just keep trucking on. You ever seen the shit that Machine Gun Kelly has said about his love of children? That walking corpse just loves to talk about his opinions of people below the age of 18. So it seems like the combination of a lack of true consequences and continued controversies are led to what we call cancel culture. Well, there are certainly some overblown reactions to things that people say. They're just that. Reaction. When yelling at these people, is any actual true power beyond just not buying a movie ticket? Voting with your wallet is useless, as some have considerably larger wallets, and at the end of the day, you're just simply one out of a million other wallets that simply just don't care that they're supporting a pedophile. The average person has already stopped caring about Louis C.K.'s overly friendly penis. I will not think twice about watching whatever one of his specials limp onto Netflix. Cancel culture has no power in a society ruled by capitalism, and is simply a tool to lower the perceived impact of truly horrific actions.